All right, Brian, we've got some condo changes
We do, we
here
do.
in
So
Connecticut.
so Fannie Mae is the organization that makes the guidelines that most lenders will follow when they're doing your regular conventional loan. These are the types of loans that most people are getting. And this catches a lot of people by surprise, which is why I want to talk about this on the show today. A lot of folks, when they're buying and selling a condo, don't fully realize that the lender is required to review a lot of information about the condo association. And a lot of times it's fine. Nobody even realizes that we're doing it. It kind of happens behind the scenes. And folks don't notice until there's a problem, right? And so sometimes these problems come up when somebody might be pretty far along in the process of buying or selling a home. They find out, oh, there's an issue with the condo. And so that's been going on for a while. That's not new, but the rules change from time to time. So there were big changes in 20 at the end of 2021 going into 2022. I don't know if you folks remember, but there was a high rise condo in Florida where a large portion of the condo collapsed and actually a bunch of people died. It was really a tragedy. And that was really like a wake up call for the mortgage real estate lending industry that, oh, we really need to kind of pay attention to this because some of these condos have safety and structural issues that maybe they weren't aware of, they weren't inspecting for. So those were changes that happened in 2021. And so we're seeing on a regular basis, we have to go to the a condo management and say, hey, when was the last time you did a safety or structural inspection? Are the repairs needed? Have they been done? Is there what we call deferred maintenance? So that's been going on for the last 4 years. We've been dealing with that, and now there's new rules coming for 2026. You want me to pause here, Byron, or keep going?
No, no, okay. I,
Keep
I
going.
like the
All right, here we go.
breakdown, Brian. This is
All right,
important
here we
stuff.
go. So the new changes for 2026, and if you live in a condo, if you're a real estate agent, or you're in any way involved with property management, you're going to want to pay attention to what I'm saying right now. This is kind of a little bit of a public service announcement because some of these changes go into effect in August, and some of these changes go into effect into January of 2027. And I guarantee that some people are going to be caught by surprise and they're going to say, I don't understand why this is a problem. It was never a problem before. It's because the rules have changed. So, one of the things that's happening is number one, lenders are eliminating the limited review option. So, what does that mean? So, prior to this change, if somebody was doing 10% down or more on a primary residence condo, meaning you're going to live there, the lender was not required to review the condo budget. This is changing starting in August. That's going away. So now all condo loans, regardless if you're doing 50% down or 30% down or 20% down, the lender will now have to review the budget. And there are reserve requirements, meaning that the condo association is supposed to put a certain percentage of the revenue into reserves. Now, the old rule was 10%. The new rule, this is probably the biggest change. Starting in January of 2027, Fannie Mae guidelines will require condo associations to contribute 15% of their annual revenue into reserves, which is a big change. What does that mean? That means if you add up all of the money that the condo association gets from all of the condo unit owners, the HOA dues for the year, let's say it's $100,000 to make the math simple. Out of that $100,000, right now, 10,000 of that's supposed to go in reserves. Starting January of 2027, it will be 15,000. And a lot of condos are not doing that. So if you live in a condo association, you've probably had some kind of special assessment, right? What's a special assessment? A special assessment means they need to replace the roofs, they need to replace the driveway, the siding, the walkways, some kind of major renovation project is needed and they haven't saved up the money for it. So when the condo association has not saved up the money that they need, then they either have to go get a loan or they just send a letter to everybody who lives in the association. You need to give us, X amount per month or X amount in one lump sum payment so we can pay to get the roof. So, it's not really great financial management to be borrowing the money for the repairs. So Fannie Mae is saying like, okay, we know that a lot of the condos out there are going to need structural repairs in the future. they need to start putting money aside to pay for this. It's called a reserve fund. And so, and a lot of a lot of times it just wasn't coming up because the lender was not required to review
Yeah.
the budget. Starting in August, we're going to be reviewing every budget. So that's it's a pretty fundamental shift. So that's one thing that's tightening. Now, some things
So
are getting easier. Do you want to talk
two
about the
things
budget
though.
before I move on, Byron?
No. Two things are going to happen to condo associations because of that. Because if you are required to put the 15% in, one, you get there by either cutting services or by increasing monthly costs
Neither of which are
for
popular
the
things
members.
to do.
Neither are popular. Okay. So, and condos are in a tough spot. And, so where's the help going to come from? Fannie, has been, obviously Bill Pulte leads HUD and has said, we're going to make housing more affordable. We're going to do everything in our power to make housing more affordable. This is going to make it more expensive because what is condo solving for? It's solving for the affordability side of the equation. The median sales price for condos, yeah, it's an all-time record right now, but the median sale price for condos over the last year is $300,500 in Connecticut. The average is $375,000. Those are both record highs on a rolling 12 in Connecticut, but they're far lower than single families, which the average single family is $675,000, and the median single family is $465,000. So if you want affordable, condo becomes one of those options to start. But if your HOAs get so high, then that cuts into how much these are going to be worth. Obviously, that'll cut into the value of condos. But it'll obviously restrict some buyers from being able to get condos. So where does the relief have to come from? I get the reasoning behind this. And banks do not take the risk, thankfully, that they were taking back in 04, 05, and 06. They have tightened up across the board. And that's why there is not, even as foreclosures increase month over month, or increasing from zero. COVID, they weren't allowing foreclosures. We're not even back to normal levels. Okay. We do not have any kind of foreclosure bubble looming at all. The banks have been very strict on lending. Okay. This is another example of that. But to get more inventory, more affordable inventory built, particularly here in Connecticut, where we don't build, the relief is going to have to come on the build side, on the regulation against builders, so that they, because if labor and material and the regulations and if everything costs as much as it does, and then, oh, by the way, the association has to keep, now 15% in the reserve, and everything costs money to maintain on a monthly basis to begin with, what is going to get built? The only thing that's going to get built is luxury condos. That's all Connecticut builds primarily. It's either apartments or luxury. The middle's dead. And we haven't made it easy on builders to be able to get as close to the middle as they possibly can.
I agree. And I mean, on that topic, if the condo's going to need a new roof, like every 25 to 30 years, all the buildings are going to need new roofs. That money's got to come from somewhere. So if they're taking out a loan to pay for the new roof because the condo association didn't save money, you're going to need a new roof. This is kind of like a Dave Ramsey type situation here. It's like, hey, you're going to need a new car. You should really be saving up some money for your next car because it's coming, versus taking out a loan at 7, 8, 9%. If you save up for it in the long run, that will save you money. And if they don't want to increase, you could get into a condo and say, yeah, the HOA fees are low. But then if they keep the HOA fees low and they're not saving up any money for the new roof and the new driveway and the new siding that they're going to need at some point, then the unit owners are going to get whacked with a special assessment. Like, hey, your monthly HOA is low, but we need everybody to chip in $8,000 for a new roof. I mean, I've owned condos where I get those letters on a regular basis. Hey, we need money for this, or we need money for that. So the money's got to come from somewhere.